Suspended. Okay. We are live. Let me see. This is the wrong camera. Let me hide this. Where's that? Oh, that's me. This is me. Hi. I'm going to use streaming as a way of documenting this experience working on my LN2 overclocking project. I have two cameras, one on my desktop computer and one camera here. I plan on streaming the whole thing. I'm going to quickly check the audio. I should have done this before I started, but you know what? You live and learn. So let's see. One on my desktop computer. Alright, everything sounds good. Let's get this show on the road. I think so. The whole plan was to be able to share my screen of what I do if I open a new tab. Not this. There. There we go. We have a window. This window is tiny. Let's make sure that I am fitting to screen. Fit to screen, please. Please. Transform. Control F. Fit to screen. Cool. I do have a black bar at the bottom. That is weird, but that is okay. That's because I don't have Explorer, Windows Explorer. Okay. We have OBS. I'm so sorry. We're going to disable this display. Disable me. And then ta-da! There we go. We are watching the GoPro. That was like magic. Can you believe that? That was so good. Okay. And do I have chat? Let's see. Where is chat? Chat. Where you at, chat? I don't think I have chatters right now, though, which is a sad truth. Let's see. I hope that you guys can hear me. I'm keeping my eye out on the decibel reading, but let's see. All right. Here we go. We are starting the LN2 overclocking journey. Welcome. 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 That's my butt. There we go. So first things first, today I will be disassembling this computer here. Now, this computer was used for a multitude of reasons. However, now has to be taken apart and repurposed for an even bigger project. And that project is currently hidden away under this green tarp. However, is going to be extremely critical to be able to perform everything that I need to. I don't know how to stream to multiple platforms, so I'm only on YouTube. So what I do is I'm going to start my stream on my phone. Boom. we're live. If I turn this camera around and I spin it around, all right. So one of the first things that I have to do with this computer is got to take apart everything here. So that's what I'm going to start doing. Oh, what's up? What's up, Mike? So this computer, I essentially just kept the components that I wanted to work with. I'm streaming on YouTube as well. Hold on. If I can drop this link in the chat here. So today I'm working on this computer here. I have a liquid nitrogen overclocking setup that I'll be working on. That is over here. You can also see it from the YouTube stream as well. So if we reposition this. So here we have an i9 7980XE, well not in here, but that's what I'm using, with 128 gigs of Corsair Dominator Platinum memory. Currently going to use these liquid nitrogen cooling blocks. On these graphics cards. So we'll see what type of scores I can get with the liquid nitrogen overclocking. Let's see. This camera is like a really wide angle, so it's pretty hard to get a good sound on. I got this microphone right here. But yeah, we're streaming on YouTube as well, so I'm going to first take out these graphics cards and then take this apart, and then after that I can start reassembling over here. It's a lot of setup and mostly just time and patience, so once that gets started, should be good to go. Turn this around here. I love these screwdrivers. I got these screwdrivers from Jake's Performance Hobbies. These are Vanquish screwdrivers, the best Allen drivers you can ever get. These are great for cars, RC cars, computers, anything that uses a lot of Allens. I highly recommend these. So here is the first For the Win 3 card. This card is a Ultra For the Win 3 because you can tell because this bezel is red. If it's red, it's an Ultra card. If it's not, it's a normal card. It's very hard to tell the difference between the Ultras and the non-Ultras. However, dead giveaway is the color. However, these clips are removable, so make sure you get the right one because they physically look identical. I'm going to be putting this 2080 Ti into my desktop over here. That way I can pull out the one more 3090 that I have and use the 2080 Ti in my desktop. I always end up like putting my screws back where I unscrewed them from. What's up, Jose 707 and TMD Santa Rosa? Another thing is, just like cars, it's really important to have good, clean power for any electrical devices. So I'll probably have to look into some power purifying solutions to remove any unwanted noise from the computer. At first, I think I'm just going to be using the 3090 for the overclocking, and then I'll be then switching to the LN2 with both the processor and the graphics card, and then adding a graphics card, and then slowly stepping it up. I've never done multi LN2 overclocking before, so we'll see what it's like. Here's a power supply. So right now, I'm unplugging the GPU risers. So here we go. GPU risers are removed. Now, here's the green power supply cables. I like using different colored power supply cables because it's way easier to know which cables you're moving around and whatnot. It gets really confusing if you end up mixing the colors up. So a good way to avoid that confusion all to begin with is just use different colored power supply cables. Here we go. So for this build, we're going to be using 3 1600 watt EVGA power supplies. See here, 1600 watt power supplies. And we have 3 of them. There's one there. There's one more in the computer down there. And then I have, I have one more in this test bench right here. And so I'll have one for the first graphics card, one for the second graphics card, and one for the processor. Each thing needs its own supply of clean power so that it gets the most stable power delivery possible. Now here I am going to untangle this computer, and once it's untangled, actually I can then just pull this computer out, and the frame is actually separate from the computer, so I don't have to disassemble a whole thing. There we go. See? Computer just pops out. There we go. Computer pops out of the frame, so that way I don't have to rebuild this all the time. You guys can see very well there. You can see a little better. There we go. So now that we got the graphics cards out, it's almost ready to be put into the test bench over here. So I think I'm actually gonna first take apart that frame, the aluminum frame, and put those pieces away with the rest of my aluminum frame mounting pieces, as well as taking this little contraption apart as well. So here, let's see, what do I have to do here? Well, first things first, I think this base is a real pain to disassemble. I don't know why I built it like this. I really didn't want it to come apart, I think, but it's loose. Here. Just unscrew these. Oh, you guys can't see nothing over there. A lot of just moving stuff around. There we go. Shit. Hate it when that happens. I knew that was gonna happen too. So this was a Rubik's Cube solving robot that I had made in the past. That's the wrong screw size. Oh, that's weird. Can't find the right screwdriver size. It's not that one. Oh, it was. kidding me? Why do I keep throwing stuff across the room? It's an absolute nightmare. There we go. Didn't lose any of the screws. It's really annoying when you lose screws. I don't like losing screws. So, hey guys, what's up? We are building a liquid nitrogen overclocking computer step by step. Right now, I'm disassembling some stuff to put away before I start disassembling the graphics cards and setting up the LN2 overclocking. So, just popping these out if they would cooperate. Just one screw at a time. So the setup is going to be two SLI 3090s. It's also going to have an i9 7980XE 18-core 36-thread processor. It's going to have either 4 channels. It depends on the motherboard. So I got a bunch of motherboards because I hope I don't kill any of them, but I probably will. And just to avoid that, I want to make sure that I have backups. So I have 2 Asus Rampage 6 Extreme Encore motherboards. I have 2 Asus Rampage 6 normal Rampage boards. I love the Rampage boards, and it's what I got my previous score with, and since it's what I have, it's what I'm going to use. I really want to try my EVGA Micro 2 motherboard. I heard it has an extremely good overclocking capability for that motherboard. For LN2 overclocking, I'm pretty sure a big portion of it is making sure that you have the correct power to the CPU, whether it's clean or it's the right amount of current. The big battle is power draw and heat dissipation. With water cooling, you're kind of limited to how fast you can remove the heat, versus with the liquid nitrogen overclocking, the heat gets dissipated much quicker. So right now, putting these U-channel away, have a bunch of this stuff in the bin, and we are going to now disassemble my old mining rig frame, I think. It has been very, very large, very useful. But we're gonna get to the liquid nitrogen part, but the big portion is just setup in general. So we are going to move this computer aside. And here we go. We're gonna start taking this apart. So need to get this screwdriver. And it's just very handy to be able to remove things very quickly from the U-channel without actually removing the bolts as well, which is one of my favorite features, but also one of the biggest cruxes of this U-channel is that it is very susceptible to becoming loose and is nowhere near a permanent solution of any kind. Sometimes they also get stuck in certain places. So, like right here, right now. and it's lost. So we're just gonna ignore that. Damn. Am I allowed to say damn on YouTube, or am I gonna get banned? Hope I don't get banned. It'd be really annoying. So here we go. I'm gonna take this frame apart right here. So once, I guess we have goals to accomplish. Should I write these goals out on the screen? Let's do that. We're gonna go to OBS over here. We're gonna change my screen. We're gonna go boom, boom, boom. What's up, everyone? We are over here now. We are on the computer with OBS. Let's see. What are we doing here? We want to make some goals. So if we add text, let's say goals, and the text is going to say, let's say, what is the text going to say? I think the text will say, ASDF. No, let's do, how do I switch that? I don't want the color to be black. No, I want the color to be black. There we go. And then the background color will be white. That did nothing. That literally did nothing. Let's say, disassemble computer. Oh, disassemble mining rig. That's our first task. Then we're gonna do here. If you guys want to see the other recording, we'll make a new scene eventually. But we gotta disassemble this. This is what we're disassembling. So we gotta disassemble the mining rig. Then we have the graphics cards. We have the three 3090s there. First, CPU LN2 test. Then we have to do CPU plus GPU LN2 test. Then we have to do CPU plus 2 GPUs LN2 test. And when we have to disassemble the mining rig, we have to get GPUs ready for overclocking. We also have to, oh my god, that is so ugly. I just realized the text is appearing right here on my stream as I'm typing it. So let's move this out of the way. We have some goals here. Oh my god, this is massive. Massive text. Right there. There we go. That looks way better. Disassemble mining rig. Get GPUs ready. Ah! It's my only white space I have. I'm typing right here. You guys can see that. Okay. We want to also do CPU SLI and single card. For that, single card. These are the 4 configurations. And then this is SLI. We have to disassemble the mining rig. We have to collect 3 power supplies. UVGA 16. 1600 T2. There we go. So we're just working over here right now while we're planning what we're doing over here. So we have disassembled the mining rig. We have to get the 3 power supplies, one for each, the GPU and the CPU, and we have to choose a motherboard. So let's think. We have to choose a Rampage. Asus Rampage Extreme board. Asus Rampage. So I have every single Rampage board that they made. So we can choose best for the LN2 overclocking setup that we're going to be running, and the GPU spacing and things like this, like with the location of where the PCI lanes are, so where you can plug your graphics cards, really matters. So we're gonna do that. So we have the choose Asus Rampage motherboard. Right now, in the test bench right here, this motherboard right here is a Rampage 6 Extreme Encore with a Bits Power water block for the VRM, and it is being cooled by the big radiator over here. So if I bring the camera a little closer, because I don't think y'all can see that far. Oh, disconnected. Let's hope it reconnects. There we go. All right. So here is the Rampage board that with the 64 gigs right now, and then I have the other. Oh, we have to take the RAM out of this motherboard right here. There's another 64 gigs in this little server right here. I was borrowing some memory, so we'll rob that memory back. So we can run 128 gigs of RAM. Whoops, this cable really stinks. I don't know why this cable isn't working very well. Why isn't the webcam mode working? Let's see. This is the GoPro I'm using right now. So let's see what's going on with the GoPro. Let's turn on and off. Hold on. Gotta add the GoPro back. We're going to add the GoPro. Nope, that didn't work. Don't know what's wrong with this GoPro. Shouldn't have messed with it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's see if the GoPro will connect. And we are live again. Okay, so here we go. Here's the Rampage. Let me be very careful with this USB cable now. Here is the Rampage 6 Extreme board, and then here is the water cooling radiator and pump combo that I have set up over here just for the VRM cooling. The CPU is going to be cooled by a separate system, and here is the SLI bridge for the 3090s. So I'm going to put this camera back. Over here. Oh, darn. Disconnected again. What a shame. What a shame. That cable is no good. I think every time this happens, I have to plug it in and unplug it. because for some reason it's all bugged out. Cool. Now we got this plugged in there. And we should be good to go. There we go. Camera was overheating, so I had to pull the battery out. GoPro suck. But now we just gotta take this frame apart. Taking this frame apart right here. Oh shit. Who's messaging me right now? I think we need to make this screen larger because no one can see what the heck's going on. Okay, cool. Now we have a backdrop. We got a backdrop for the screen. Let's go. Just gotta take it apart one by one. Wow, I'm looking at this other computer and it looks like it needs to be blown out with compressed air. It's very dusty and that's not going to be very good. I need to do that. So let's see. So I'm going to set this down here, and I'm pretty sure that just need to remove these and the whole thing will come apart. For what it is though, this is one of the stronger frames I've built, I think. A lot more of them are a lot weaker than this one. This one was a pretty strong frame for how long it was built. A lot of frames, they don't actually end up supporting anything. it's pretty difficult to build these frames properly. This one is actually one frame with added aluminum extrusion for the bottom shelf for the server. The reason why I like doing this is because you really risk damaging the motherboards and the internal parts. It's just better to put it into a computer case than just leaving it loose in there. So there's that frame piece. Now I just have to remove these corner pieces. Actually, fairly straightforward. This is also what I made the frame out of for the little liquid nitrogen setup I have over here for the water cooling portion. Almost done removing these pieces, which is pretty annoying, honestly. There's a lot of them. These frames need a lot of rigidity and durability, so the black pieces are from the mining rig, and the silver pieces is what I added on. But I'm taking it all apart because it just takes up a lot of space. Just save space taking it apart. So, no brainer. And there we go. Forgot to remove this one piece right here. I have to work on the floor a lot of the time. There's no space. There we go. Some of these things I don't like taking the screws out of because when you reuse them, you need these screws anyways. So it's just better to leave them on here than take them off unless you don't need them. So I just leave them on here. These two need to be disassembled. That needs to be disassembled. These are put together with some set screw extensions. Pretty sure it's a 2mm set screw. Oh, no, it's actually much larger. It's a 2.5. Imagine using an Allen key for this, though. I would be going nuts if that was the case. I would never do this in a million years. Not even if someone paid me to do that by hand. It just doesn't work as well. Like, you really can't be doing that. Comes off real quick though. If it does come off quick. Come on, get off. There you go. But just gotta take it all apart. And once it's all apart, and then you just do it again. We'll end this broadcast. What is going on here? I've just been taking this stuff apart. Man, that was a lot of stuff to take apart. But it is coming apart. That is the good thing. Because before I started, there's just this massive pile on the floor of all these parts. Now, all these parts are taken apart. And so, it's much better, easier to use, than if it were just sitting there, assembled into something. So here we go. Some things I do use Allen keys for, like here, but that's because I don't have a screwdriver that big, honestly. I don't think you could apply enough torque to get those screws off in the first place. Here we go. I'm going to take this one off. And then I gotta wow, so that's all taken apart. Just have to take things off of these panels. I will be right back. I have to use the restroom. So we're gonna go here and type new text source. Oh, it's white. That's why you can't see it. Well, too bad. Can't figure it out. I am back. So finally we have to take apart some of these adapters here. I think most of them will just actually fall out due to how they were screwed together. Yeah. So right now, the next step would be to take this computer apart over here. Oh, it's right out of frame. This has another power supply in the bottom that I need to use. So I think it would be much better if I took this apart next and put this stuff away right now. So I have to separate the parts that were from the mining rig versus the parts that were added on afterwards. Excuse me. So if I look through this pile of aluminum extrusion, there are some screws and whatnot. And some screws, actually, I need to make sure I put back. So if I go over here, for example, I took off a bunch of these screws that I didn't use earlier, but now I need to put them back on this piece over here. I have to remember that the microphone is right here or else you guys can't hear me. you guys have any feedback, I really appreciate any feedback as well. Pretty new to the streaming thing, so if anything's wrong, let me know. Here I'm just putting in these screws so I don't lose them. I got like 5 of them I didn't put in. Everyone having a good week so far? I've had a pretty rough week because of the rain. I can't do what I want to do outside, but just got to do what I can do inside while I'm waiting. Starting to put these screws back in one at a time, which is actually very tedious. There we go. There is the last screw. And then I have to take these pieces, put them in here. Organize them all 4. So the next step would be taking this computer apart because it has the RAM as well as the power supply as well as a processor too. So everything's coming out of that. I also need to get the motherboard is actually going to be used for a different build. That build has a Sage X299 Asus Sage board with 7 PCI Express lanes, and it's super nice because essentially you have unlimited lanes with the PLX chip, which just simulates more PCI lanes than your CPU has. So you actually don't get a performance increase with a PLX chip, but you won't lose any data if that's what's super critical is being able to connect to. I think it's no good for not very good for calculations that need to go between the processor and the GPU. However, PLX chips have their use cases for certain server applications. But most of the time, they won't actually add the lanes if they're physical lanes on the motherboard. And choosing the correct motherboards to have all the lane allocations to like 2 or 4-way SLI is super important. But on and on and on. Enough with my ranting. I need to put all these screws away. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these, put them in this cardboard box right here. I have a bunch of screws right here. But I think I'm just going to try to put away everything as simply as possible. So, let's see. I don't have a lot of table space, as you can see. I'm all using it up for my my other projects, so I have to work on the floor, which is not very good. It's really not very good. So here's another piece of plastic. And there's actually some nice thick 1/4 inch thick acrylic that I was using. I actually got all of this as scrap acrylic for free from Tap Plastics. They were going to throw away a bunch of squares, so got it on the real low discount for probably for some frame or something, but I don't know. There is a lot of these screws that I have used though. So the first thing to do is to test liquid nitrogen overclocking with just the processor. So that's the first step that we're going to be doing. So let's see. I need a screwdriver here. I'm going to be taking out this power supply out of this case, as the case may be. This power supply has the blue power cables, which is nice because I decided to go with different colored power supply cables for the build, and that has proven to be a very, very, very good idea. Now I don't have to worry as much about which cables are coming from what power supply, so I can actually know which ones are which. This cable, this power supply, was probably the largest power supply that I could have fit in this darn computer. It's hilarious how small of a computer case has such a large power supply. There we go. She is unplugged, and there is a bunch of cables. So we have two of these power supplies now. 2, 6, 3. One more right there. Right here. Next step, I have to look at the back side of this and try to pull out the things that I do not need. So here, pulling this and this out. So here's 2 sticks of RAM. We can also do memory overclocking as well, but I haven't gotten there yet. Also, I don't think these are unspread. Like, you can remove the heat sinks off of these memory modules, but if I could, I would. So there we go. That's the 128 gigs of RAM. And then those are the 2 power supplies. If we move everything that I'm not using out of the way, I might have a little more space, I just realized. So let me see. I'm trying to move some stuff around. So one of the things that I need for this project is an oscilloscope. And the oscilloscope I'll be using for this project at the beginning is this Rigol oscilloscope. This will ensure that I am able to control and monitor the noise coming from my voltage readings. So that will go right here. And plugged in there. There's no point in using a multimeter, in my opinion, when you're trying to do much more precise work with the LN2 overclocking. Just kind of find it pointless to be using that type of hardware. So So this is kind of the setup that I'm going to be working with. There is the second power supply and the third power supply. I also still need to pull more cables out of the computer, but 2 power supplies. We're not going to use these graphics cards for now, but we will be putting the GPU blocks on those graphics cards first before doing the kingpins. So first going to do the EVGA RTX 3090s, probably do shunt resistor mod as well as change out some capacitors as needed. What else? This fan definitely needs to be blown out. I just looked at it and oh my god, it is full of dust. But I think all I need from this box here now is my probes. So if I take my 4 probes out, red, oh my god, am I colorblind? Okay, that's fine. Alright. There we go. Here we go. Now we will be able to use my oscilloscope. I didn't tangle them up so nicely. Could have been worse. So here is the oscilloscope cables. Don't need this for now. Empty bag for the oscilloscope. There. There. Cool. So now, all I have to do is I just have to clean up this section of stuff over here. These hard drives are going into a server that I'm building, which will not be used for the liquid nitrogen overclocking. This power source right here will not be used for this project. Just probably gonna move this away. This I'm not sure. We're gonna check what that is for. That is a DC to DC power converter. However, I think it has pretty high I don't think I'll need it. I have 3 of these 1600 watt T2 power supplies. Definitely won't need it. Yeah, I would be very mistaken if I needed it. So we're going to be using the 13090 first. Whoops. Pull these cards out. So I'm going to be putting these 2 graphics cards away. because I don't have a lot of space. Those need to be cleaned out though. They're really dusty, and they're really not very good to be that dusty, especially. So here's the two boxes for the 3090s. So these will be going to be cleaned and put away. 3090. That 3090 is going to be going into here. So we can already start that, I believe. I just put the RAM in for this project. So let's see. The CPU is also coming from this server, but this also needs to be blown out with air, compressed air as well. However, I think I'll do that here, but I'll be using a vacuum cleaner to clean out the dust after it's been blown out. I think that would be easier, or would it? Maybe not. A lot of this hardware really does need to be dusted off. Let's see. Just pulling out all these power supply cables right now. A lot of it is just setup. Like I said, I've only done the liquid nitrogen overclocking once before, and that was a test run to make sure everything was working properly. This graphics card is going in my desktop right here when I need to put it in. That is a to be determined for future use. I only need one power supply technically right now because I'm not doing two GPUs. I'm doing only single GPU at a time. But I think from what it looks like, I'm almost ready. I'm going to move these power supplies here. That goes in there. So I'm going to put this computer on this table right here, and I think this screw came from here. And there was another screw, but for some reason I feel like I've misplaced it. Yeah, I definitely misplaced it. But that's okay. It's just a standard computer screw. If I pick this computer up now that the power supply's removed, here you can see the PLX chip motherboard. So let's see. If we come over here, so that's pretty dusty. All these computers, I honestly should be dusting them off with compressed air before working on them. And now that I'm saying this out loud, it sounds like a better idea than what I'm doing right now. Let me see here. I gotta put some tools away or else I always lose track of what I'm doing. So here we go. Darn. You know, I think I should just blow this out with the air compressor in the garage and go from there. You know, but just to take out the CPU, I don't need to do that. So we're just going to take the processor out right now. Just casually remove the processor. So this board is special with the PLX chip only if you have an i9 7900 or after. The 7800, you can only use half of the PLX chip. So it's kind of frustrating if you ended up trying to go that route. But on the other hand, why are you buying such a cheap chip for such a pricey motherboard? I wouldn't understand why you would do that. Give you guys a little more to the side here. Maybe we'll see what I'm doing a little better. And for the liquid nitrogen overclocking, actually, we'll be using a different type of thermal paste. And the reason why you actually have to delid if the chip isn't soldered to the IHS, which is the integrated heat spreader on the processor, you need to delid it, remove the thermal paste, because the thermal paste that is normally used in computers is mainly only made to run from like negative 30 to maybe 200 degrees Celsius. But since liquid nitrogen operates at negative 173, negative 173.15 Kelvin, it, negative 196. Oh my god. Why is this slipping my mind right now? I used to know this. I literally knew it like the other day. What's happening? Gotta Google this. Negative 210 degrees Celsius. Oh no, that's wrong. Negative 196. Yeah, I was right. Negative 196. So here we have the processor. If we turn this light on and see this back. Whoa, that's way too bright. Here you go. There's the chip. And here, this one has not been diluted yet because it still has the black glue next to the chip. So that means that this chip must be diluted before installation. I do have 3 other chips that I could use, so we could just put this chip aside and use a different chip. I think I have one golden chip that's like really good, and then I have a mediocre chip as well. But let's see. So that's clean enough. There you go. So you see it says i9 7980XE. So this will be going, we're going to put that right, we're actually going to put it in something. We should put it in something so that it doesn't break. Where should I put it? Yeah, I think I'm going to put it in this. Then I'm going to forget. I'm going to have to rewatch the stream and be like, where did I put that? Alright, now I have an exposed socket, which is no good. I have a socket protector, and this socket is broken, so that one doesn't matter. And ow, really poked me. And just check the socket, and it looks good. There's a dead bug in my socket. Just blew it out. But That definitely needs to be blown out with some compressed air or something, because this thing is really dirty. I do need to take all the power supply cables off. I will be needing some of these for the build, but most of it is just going to be transplanted into another computer case. You see a daddy long legs dying in here. It's pretty gross. So I lift this case up. There's no more hard drives in it either. Wow, that's a lot of dust in here. Like, that is a major amount of dust that I was not expecting. Now I got my zip tie cutter. I'm gonna cut some zip ties. I'm holding the processor, not the processor, the power cables in place. And I also think I need to separate these cables because they need to be able to come out here. Yeah, but they won't come out all at once, no duh. One at a time. Probably how I put it in anyway. One at a time. There we go. Yeah, so the only cables that are kind of stuck are the motherboard and this other cable, because this is called an extended ATX motherboard, and I think this case was not made for it, but it fit. You can see here, we're just removing all of said wires, and there we go. Now we have the motherboard. All we gotta do now is remove the motherboard, and this case should be close to done. I can't find, oh, there it is. I was gonna say, I couldn't find my Phillips board, but I'm really craving some water right now. I probably should get some water. I'll be right back. Why didn't I clean up whatever is behind my door? Every time I open it, it's just like, ugh. Okay, I am back. I'm ready. to kick some ass. You know, there's no music or anything playing, which is kind of bland. You guys like music? I don't know if you guys like music. I like music. Let's see. Cool. Now we have some music. All right. So here we're taking apart this motherboard out of this case right here. So this is not going to be for the LN2 build. However, it needs to be put away before pulling out the LN2 board that's right there. We're only, I think, about an hour and a half into the stream. I think this stream is going to go on for a few hours. I don't have any liquid nitrogen to do the testing tonight. However, I want to get a majority of it set up to be ready to go the next time I start working on this project. So here we go. There's the motherboard. So here is my Sage X299 motherboard. That will be used for my Dell build. For now, this has to be just vacuumed up. And the only reason why I took out the motherboard actually was because I needed these two cables for my power supply. So that needed to come out there. And we got the vacuum cleaner very quickly. Oops, I sucked up a screw. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just throw it away, I think. If I had a strong enough magnet, I could pull it off the side here and get it out. I don't think I have a magnet in here that is strong enough. I have a magnet here. Nope. What else has a magnet in here? Probably nothing. Oh well. That's gonna bother me so much. Alright, I'm just gonna deal with that later. That music was not royalty free, so let's not get copyright striked. Go to YouTube, go copyright free music. Boom. Okay, so now we can just put these panels back on and leave the dust in the case and deal with the case later. Don't really want to deal with this right now. So here, just putting on the side panels. It's really gross. These bugs and stuff. That's what happens to servers that are hiding in cabinets. That they're not very looked after. They just run and run and run. And if it's a reliable cabinet, they'll never have problems. So this case has been used as a server for a very, very, very long time. And it's been very good. So this is done. Alrighty then, we got some bug corpse there, dust bunny, some stuff here. You know, I think I'm gonna get the air compressor ready to clean the stuff out there, but I'm not sure. I think I'm just gonna throw that in the trash there. I don't want to lose any of the parts for the CPU cooler, so I'm going to be putting that away first now. There we go. And then this piece right here. Now it's very frustrating to have to look for pieces like this, but now I can't find what I needed. Did I really lose a piece just now? This is why you should put them away immediately, so you don't lose them like me. Oh no, I didn't lose it. It's still on the motherboard. There we go. Oh, thank God. See? I didn't lose it. Screw you guys. I didn't lose it. So, screwing this back together. Now, this was some of the cool parts, but I think the cooler part of this project is in this case right here. This is a pretty big deal to me, since this was a major portion of what the LN2 overclocking was about. So, for the dramatic drum roll, please. Ta-da! That is my LN2 overclocking kit. So we have the Kingpin cooling pots with a bits power CPU pot. Everything is going to be measured with these Fluke thermometers with the Bind K-type thermocouples from Kingpin. I also have memory cooling sticks. However, the memory I have, I can't delid the heat spreaders, so I will not be doing memory overclocking this time. But we do have two size pots. Here's the large GPU pot. The bottom part is nickel plated copper, solid copper inside, as you can see there. And the smaller version, only a little bit more smaller, but it's a lot taller. So these pots have to be used for certain configurations because the SLI bridge will interfere with the pot. So now that I have the two different size pots, I have the Kingpin graphics cards to go with the Kingpin cooling, we'll be able to set up the liquid nitrogen and overclocking as good as possible. This is the first episode. Today is just setting it up, and from now on we'll be then slowly adding more and more pieces together. So this was just the first step of getting everything set up, and we have our Rigel oscilloscope here to monitor our voltages to make sure our voltages are stable. We also want to be able to check the variation in the voltage when applying a constant load to it, and seeing how these two power supplies are able to hold up with supplying the graphics cards and CPU with enough power. So here is the LN2 test bench setup that I'm going to be working with. Here is the motherboard, the Rampage 6 Extreme Rampage, and I will be using the 3090 with it as air-cooled and as water-cooled. And here, this water cooler is designated just for cooling the VRM. This just plugs in here, and it completes the loop, and this is just a designated LN2 chiller, or water cooler. It's just a water cooler, really, nothing else than that. So yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment. Hint, hint. So, I guess the first step is I actually have to take apart this setup to put a CPU pot on top of. Another thing is do I want to use this motherboard? I think I actually want to switch over not use 128 gigs on this Extreme Rampage board with the water cooling. I think the water cooling is going to overcomplicate things to begin with. So I think I'll be switching this board out actually with a probably, I'm thinking, a Rampage 6 Apex, which has a single memory channel per stick, but only has 4 memory channels. So you run 4 sticks of RAM, and then the memory slot allocation, the physical lanes, are 16x, 8x, 16x, 8x for the 4 PCI lanes. And they're spaced out in a way that I could actually use this SLI bridge, versus this motherboard, I could only use the 3-slot NVLink bridge. This one is the 4-slot NVLink bridge. They also have a 2-slot, but the 2-slot there's no reason to even buy it. You shouldn't be building 2-slot SLI 3090 rigs anyways. They should have 3 or 4 slots. And the only reason this one was made was for server-cooled NVLink cards with like the A4000, A6000 mining cards. So with this NVLink bridge, we can actually just take this and just plug it in with the graphics card. So let me see what I can do. I need to first put this rig away because we're not going to be using this motherboard at first, because I don't want to have to deal with water and liquid nitrogen when I first start. But this is a contraption that I made that I plan on using very soon. There's a lot of stuff just kind of thrown around here, so excuse the mess. But most of everything is ready to go. Designated power supply for the pump for supplying power to this setup. I was actually thinking about making it battery powered. That way I wouldn't even have to worry about supplying a cable, because I don't want to pull additional power from this room, because I'm already running low on how much power I can use. There we go. I got the microphone closer. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. So this is the computer. Wow, there's so much stuff just everywhere here. So here we are. We first just need the CPU pot. We also need the CPU bottom pot right there. We need one fluke thermometer. These are extremely accurate thermometers. We need one binned K-type thermocouple. This thermocouple is going to be plugged into the bottom of this CPU block. We're not going to be using these. These are going to get cleaned off, put away. Anything that's not being used for the build right now essentially just has to be moved out of the way. There's just no space to be dealing with all the extra stuff. This motherboard needs to be sprayed off and put away. This motherboard needs to be swapped out. I have a spare motherboard. The only issue is that I need to put that motherboard away first. This motherboard needs to be shipped out for repaired socket repair. And then here we go. Here's the other motherboard. It's such a beautiful motherboard. So this is the old Rampage 6 Extreme board. This one will be shipped out for repair. This one is going in another computer. So I also have this Rampage 6 Apex board that should also be tested as well. That might also need a socket replacement. So we'll be testing this board out as well. Here is... It's funny because I don't have the packing slip for some of this stuff. So when I put motherboards away, I'm just putting them away in boxes. So here we go. This one needs to be cleaned out. That is a pile of stuff that needs to be cleaned. Those graphics cards need to be cleaned out. This motherboard socket. So this is what I was talking about, is that this one only has 4 slots, but it has a single channel memory per slot. I think the Ryzen processor has more of those slots, but for what it is, I think it's a pretty cool processor. I do need to find some CPU lids, because this is just not right to have these CPU lids open for no reason. So whenever you put these CPU lids on, you gotta make sure you do it away from the socket. If you mess up, you don't want your finger to go straight into the socket. So there you go. This one needs repair for sure. That one is damaged. This one is not damaged, but it's kind of funky, so it needs to be tested. If this motherboard doesn't work, we'll just end up having to use a different one. And I also need my delitter. See there? So this is the Open Bench 2 titanium test bench rig. It's a really nice test bench, and it also folds perfectly flat for carrying purposes. However, I don't think I'll ever use it for that in my entire life. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But this test bench is super nice, and it already has 1600 T2 power supply. So this is the 1, 2, and then the third power supply that I have. This one. Really like these power supplies. Highly recommend them. If you're ever looking for a power supply, don't look past that one. I also need to get the hardware out for the mounting the CPU LN2 pot, and I also need the base. Here's the delitter. Here's the CPU delitter. Here's an old thermocouple. That's a Ryzen processor. One. I think that might be Intel. Oh, and here's that bracket. So we have a bunch of brackets that we need to work with. These are for the GPU though. These are GPU brackets. Alright. So I think we have the CPU. This is the Ryzen processor bracket. This has to be the Intel one. I don't like how loosely. Oh yeah, this gotta be it. Yeah, that has to be it. Okay. Just put that one away. Put that away. And yeah. Now all I have to do is, we're going to be testing this motherboard out. Again, I want to make sure this motherboard works, because when it was sold to me they said it works, and then it didn't work on arrival. And I tried a lot of things, but it would turn on and then turn off. It never had a proper retention bracket. So I'm thinking, okay, what if I properly tension this bracket down and had the processor delitted with this delitting tool? We could then eventually water cool the VRM block, because I have a block for the VRM for the VRM for this motherboard. We also have the lane spacing we need for a 4-slot SLI rig. So this this SLI bridge goes with this motherboard. I only need 4 sticks of RAM for this test. So if I put this one away here, and let me just take out, let me just casually pull out 64 gigs of RAM right now. So here is those 2 sticks and then 2 more sticks. And yeah. Okay, cool. So we're like a portion of the way there. So this is what I would need to do CPU LN2 overclocking. So once this is tested out and done, we can just do the rest of everything that we need to do. What time is it? It's almost 3 o'clock. All right. So for today, we're just gonna do this. I'm gonna get some things ready, and that was day 1 of setting everything up that I needed. Tomorrow, we'll be putting everything together with initial testing as well as liquid nitrogen. So thanks for watching the stream today, and I'll see you guys next time.